The early September air was thick with heat and tension as Lincoln High buzzed with back-to-school chaos. The morning bell rang loud and sharp, echoing through the linoleum corridors like the opening note of an ominous song. Students trudged into their classrooms with varying degrees of enthusiasm, but in room 3112, the energy shifted the moment they saw who stood at the front. She didn't look like a teacher, at least not to them. Ms. Adira Mornings, with her soft gray cardigan, modest ankle-length skirt, and floral scarf, seemed out of place in the hardened environment of Lincoln High, a school better known for its fights than its finals. She had large, thoughtful eyes that scanned the room with a calmness that seemed almost naive. Her dark hair was tied in a bun, her glasses perched gently on her nose, and her soft, spoken voice introduced her as if she hadn't already been judged by 30 pairs of skeptical teenage eyes. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Ms. Mornings. I'll be filling in for Mrs. Gallows for the rest of the semester." A chuckle rolled from the back of the room. Carla Reeves, self-declared queen of the senior class, leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "Mornings. That your real name or just what we're stuck with till 3 p.m.? A few students laughed. Ms. Mornings only smiled, unfazed. "It's Adira Mornings, and I'm here to help you explore the power of stories, starting with To Kill a Mockingbird." Groans erupted. The tall boy in the second row, Greg, muttered, "More dead white guys." Harper Lee was a woman, Ms. Mornings replied, calmly but without hesitation, and a brave one at that. More laughter, but she continued. That first day, she introduced herself properly, had them write anonymous notes about how they felt about literature, and dismissed them with a reminder that her class would be a safe space. Most students ignored her. Some rolled their eyes. A few were curious, but didn't dare show it. Lincoln High wasn't the kind of place where you openly liked teachers. By Thursday, things had shifted. Carla, with her golden curls, smoky eyeliner, and venom-laced charm, had declared war. Ms. Mornings had dared to call her out for talking while another student read aloud. Even worse, she'd confiscated her phone and assigned her extra reading. Carla was humiliated. No one dared to touch Carla at Lincoln High. Not even security guards who'd long given up enforcing anything that didn't involve metal detectors or fistfights. That afternoon, in the cafeteria, Carla and her clique, Rhea and Dana, schemed over cold pizza and Diet Cokes. "She needs to learn," Dana said, her blue-dyed bangs hanging over one eye. "She thinks she's above us. She's not even hot," Rhea added. "She's like, fake nice. You can tell. She probably writes in a gratitude journal and hugs trees." Carla didn't respond immediately. She was staring across the lunchroom at the corner table, where Ms. Mornings sat alone, eating quietly from a lunchbox. She wore the same scarf, always the scarf. Carla squinted, curious. "No one's that quiet unless they're hiding something," she finally said. By the end of the first week, subtle pranks had begun. A chair removed before she sat down, chalk rubbed on her cardigan, a dead mouse, probably from the science lab, left in her drawer. But Ms. Mornings never flinched. She acknowledged nothing, never gave the reactions they craved. Even when students laughed, mocked, or whispered obscenities behind her back, she continued her lessons with the same even tone. She taught like someone who wasn't trying to impress anyone. Just teach. That unsettled them more than anger ever would. The second week brought an escalation. On Monday, Ms. Mornings was walking through the side hallway near the gym, heading toward the faculty lounge, when Carla and her crew cornered her. The hallway was empty. Most students had left for lunch. One of the security cameras had conveniently stopped working earlier that morning. "Spray paint," someone said. "A prank." Unrelated, of course. "Hey, Miss Morning Glory," Carla said, stepping in front of her. "Where you headed? Gonna go read us a bedtime story?" Mornings paused but didn't shrink. "Excuse me, please." "Oh, so polite," Dana mocked. "She even says please." Without warning, Carla stepped forward, grabbed the end of Ms. Morning's scarf and yanked. The fabric pulled away. Everyone froze. Underneath the scarf, running down the side of Ms. Morning's neck, was a jagged scar, deep in red, winding like lightning across pale skin. It disappeared under her blouse, hinting at something long and terrible. For a moment, no one moved. Rhea whispered, "What the hell?" Ms. Mornings calmly reached down, picked up the scarf, and wrapped it back around her neck. Her voice remained steady. "You don't want to go down this path, Carla." Carla snorted, masking her unease. "Why? Because you got beat up once." The Ms. Mornings looked at her, not with anger, but with a kind of weary, knowing sadness that unnerved Carla more than any scream or threat ever could. "Because I've seen where that path leads." And she walked away. The next day, room 312 was filled with strange energy. Some students looked at Ms. Mornings differently. They still mocked her, but it was quieter, less certain. Sammy Lopez, the stuttering junior who usually sat alone, started bringing his lunch to her classroom. She welcomed him with a quiet nod and a thermos of tea. They rarely spoke, but he smiled now. But Carla couldn't let it go. She'd been the queen of cruelty for years. No one stared at her like she was just a scared teenager, trying too hard to seem untouchable. Ms. Mornings had ruined that without even trying. So she planned something bigger, something that would break the quiet, mysterious teacher once and for all. The attack happened on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Classes had been shortened due to a faculty meeting. The halls were crowded with students shoving their way toward buses or waiting cars. But in the back corridor near the gym lockers, quiet and unguarded, Ms. Mornings was intercepted. Carla and 4 others surrounded her. Someone, Greg, most likely, was filming from a corner. "No more hiding behind your scarves," Carla said. Before Ms. Mornings could speak, Carla reached forward, grabbed her hair, and yanked her backward. She stumbled. Dana kicked at her satchel, spilling books across the floor. Rhea shoved her shoulder, laughing. Ms. Mornings tried to rise, but Carla held tight, dragging her by the hair several feet across the hall. Students passing by didn't stop it, they watched. But then it happened. Ms. Mornings twisted sharply, grabbed Carla's wrist, and used her own weight to throw her off balance. Carla stumbled backward, stunned. In one motion, Ms. Mornings pulled herself up and stared at the group, breath steady. And then she spoke. "I didn't come here to fight teenagers, but I didn't survive a war zone to be dragged like prey." A silence louder than shouting followed. "What?" someone muttered. "I was in Aleppo, Mosul, Sierra Leone," she said, her voice rising slightly for the first time. "I've treated children with limbs blown off. I've watched friends get buried in rubble. I taught girls to read intents under snipers' nests. I've looked death in the face more times than I can count." She looked at Carla. "And I still chose to come teach you." Carla's lips parted, but no words came. "I wear this scarf," Ms. Mornings said, holding it up, "because it reminds me I'm still here. That pain doesn't define me. Kindness does. And that same kindness, you mistake for weakness, is the reason I'm not pressing charges today." Greg slowly lowered his phone. "Get out of my way." No one stopped her this time. The video leaked. Of course, it did. By the next morning, it had gone viral. First on the school's private Discord server, then TikTok, then local news. Within a week, the Board of Education was contacted by dozens of concerned parents, but not for the reasons anyone expected. They wanted Ms. Mornings to stay. A petition circulated, collecting thousands of signatures. A local journalist visited room 312 for an interview. Ms. Mornings declined politely, saying the story wasn't about her, but about every student who still had a chance to change. She didn't retaliate, didn't punish. Instead, she invited the school counselor to co-host weekly healing spaces in her classroom. She started a quiet writing club. She asked Sammy to read his poem on the intercom. And Carla didn't come back for a few days. When she did, her eyes were different, hollow, tired. She apologized in private. Mornings accepted it without hesitation. "You're not your worst moment," she said softly. By the end of the semester, the students who once mocked Miss Mornings were defending her like a sister. Room 312 became the heart of the school, a place where scars weren't hidden, but honored. Because sometimes, it takes a quiet woman with battle wounds and unwavering patience to remind a school full of chaos what strength really looks like. And sometimes, the hero doesn't kick down doors. She just stands back up, again and again, until the world learns how to follow.